identified more victims and plan on more than just the 4 murder charges filed today.
Confirm earlier reports of
The
cannibalism.
building was a scene of ghoulish slaughter.
A large kettle on the stove which held boiled water.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Let's get Todd Fox on so he can talk about his story. You have the floor, Todd.
Thanks, Matt. Well, if you go back, bro, this story is actually going to be about someone very familiar. Because remember we talked about earlier about maybe last year or the year before, Vaughn Greenwood, Skid Row slasher.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember him. He was from the 1974 period. Mr. Vaughn Greenwood, which he was terrorizing the city of Los Angeles, the Skid Row area. And, he racked up quite the kill count. He had 11 total victims out of 12. The 12th one somehow survived. And he almost killed a famous celebrity in the process. So had it not been for them having a random event come up, that celebrity would have been home. And we would no longer have many movies by that set celebrity. So I'm not going to give it away if you haven't heard it, but go back and listen to it if you get a chance. It's the Vaughn Greenwood Skid Row Slasher episode. This one's going to do with him because it's going to be in the same area. I know we talk a lot of Los Angeles, but there is just a lot of crazy murders. And there's actually 2 or 3 other serial killers that I want to profile that are in the LA area, but we just haven't gotten to them yet. We're trying to spread the love around to other states and countries, right?
If you want to call it love.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. Like it's just profile cases from other areas. So yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So because if anything, I mean, we could have done a podcast on just Los Angeles and California in general. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, because you know well that we got plenty of crime out here in the good old Sunshine State.
Oh, yeah. I mean, between the 1960s and up until about mid-1990s when DNA really took prevalence, there was a lot of serial killers getting away with a lot of stuff. So,
absolutely.
It's unfortunate. So, and there's still plenty of I think there's about 2 or 3 that have been never caught, that they suspect that were out there during those times, and bodies have just been spread around and they just got away with it.
A lot of that due to Johnson's, especially back then.
Oh, yeah, plenty of Johnsons, and well, because, I mean, they never share information, they don't talk to each other, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's get into the one we're going to talk about here, and let's talk about, I know I profiled it in the last episode on Skid Row, but we're going to re-go over the area of Skid Row, which it's about 50 square blocks. But due to the revitalization of downtown, the area where some of these murders took place would not be considered Skid Row today because Staples Center took over that area, revitalized the area. There's much more condos. It's way safer. They got security. But they have pushed south of Los Angeles, at least the downtown part, Skid Row. And it is a very destitute area. It's on the border of East LA, getting close towards the 10 freeway, the 110 freeway. So there's a lot of encampments. There's a lot of people outside living in abandoned buildings, living on the street, literally. It's really, really sad. And my dad took me down there when I was a kid and was like, "You're gonna wind up here if you don't start turning your grades around." And when I saw some of the stuff just in a day, I was like, nope, I'm going to turn around.
Dude, is that a tactic most of our parents did? My mom did the same thing, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because it's like the most derelict area. I mean, it's not making fun of the area. It's just like, hey, this is a warning. You don't get, you're hanging around the wrong people. I mean, because my dad told me a lot of these people aren't here because they're poor. A lot of them are here because they run away, they get into trouble, they get on drugs, they get into gangs or other stuff like that. And, it just turns things even worse because the majority of the people down in Skid Row are not there because they don't have money. It's because of the stuff that's led them there, prostitution, whatnot. Mm-hmm. So it's really sad. So moving on, 2019, the last time that before COVID, they took the demographics of the area. Consisted of 22% of the population down there is white, 39% Black or African American descent, 16% Asian, 15% Hispanic, 2% of Native American, the rest are unknown.
They're aliens.
Yeah. 7,000 to 9,000 people are living down there in that area. And it's sort of like that one movie with Will Smith. We talked about it last time where he's going from shelter to shelter with his son. They have some places down there, but not enough to house all those people. And I think it's more than 9,000. There's a lot.
Oh, yeah. It's way more than that.
And they have a lot. And what's sad, too, over the last, I'd say, 10 to 15 years, I forgot to mention, there's a lot of mental people down there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just drugs and prostitution and runaways. There's a lot of mental people that should be getting help that don't.
Absolutely. Not to cut you off, I remember last time, about a few months back, I was driving down there, and you would think this person was a zombie. Seriously, he was just walking stone cold, hands out, eyes white, and just talking to himself in the middle of the street down Skid Row. I'm not making this up. Low key freaked me out because I've seen some things, but I never saw that.
Oh, I know. I mean, when we went with Renee's wedding, we went down there because they have a fabric district or they have a suit area just north of there or west of there, and we had to drive through Skid Row to get there. And I was riding in the car with Damien, and I saw this woman on the side of the street when the light turned red, and she was starting to take off her shirt and her pants, and I'm like, "Hey, Damien, you want to see someone get naked?" And then he's like, "Not really." And I'm like, "Well, too bad. She's right over there." And I was like, "Holy crap!" And then she got completely naked and just ran through the street and was yelling all kinds of craziness. And I'm like, "Yeah, man, these people need help, dude."
They do. Seriously.
Yeah, well, it wasn't funny. It was just like, man, it's just out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You can't. I mean, it's scary to go down there through the daytime. Imagine nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
So, but church organizations have tried to help out community leaders in solving the homeless problem. But now California and Washington are the leaders in homelessness, and it's not getting any better. The ones that can move, because there's a lot of disabled ones down there as well. The ones that can get a few dollars spare change, they'll take public transportation, and they're kind of smart. They'll ride into the outskirts or the suburbs, and they'll have a better go at it out there rather than be stuck in one area, like Skid Row. So, and these people are forgotten about by Angelenos for the most part. So, again, they're in a tough spot. So there's the breakdown of Skid Row. Let's talk about some true crime, shall we? That's what we're here for, right?
That's what we're here for, brother.
Yep. So Skid Row does have establishments in between the derelict areas. There are some restaurants, 7-Elevens, cheaper places for people to eat, obviously. So you have people that actually go down there, brave the area at certain times to go to work. And this would be the case in October 23rd, 1978. So already a date.
Dang.
Yeah, 50-year-old cook Jesse Martinez was walking home from a night's work as a chef. He was not homeless, but just worked just inside the parameters of Skid Row and East Los Angeles. On his way home, however, as he passed a marketplace that was closed for the night, it was around 2 a.m. He had done all the cleanup and closed up shop. He was ambushed and attacked and stabbed multiple times in the chest and the abdomen.
Oof.
He lied in front of the establishment all night because that particular part of the city was very quiet overnight. So he laid there. Who knows if he was alive or not for a while, but he laid in a pool of his blood until someone in the wee hours of the morning, around 6 or 7 at daybreak, came over and saw and found him lying on his back, stabbed to death.
Dang.
Yeah.
Oof.
Now, unlike the Skid Row slasher from the story we profiled before, where he would slash the victims' throats, put some of their blood that would flow from their neck in paper cups, put it by their bodies, sprinkle a little salt around them, and take off their shoes for some reason and put them by their head. No, this person was just stabbed multiple times, specifically in the chest and in the stomach with a long knife, like a long blade.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it was kind of painful. The person bled out pretty fast. Now, these cases, like I said, this started in 1978. The Skid Row slashers' reign of terror lasted from 74 to 75, so a good year of his terror before he was caught. So this is not even 4 years later. And yes, there's been, murders down in Skid Row, but people get shot or whatever, strangled. But this one was a little bit eerie because of the stabbings that took place and all the murder that the Skid Row slasher had put on the community. Now all of a sudden you have this freak out, sort of like it looked personal because of all the stabbing. So at first the LAPD was thinking, okay, this is either a random act of violence, or they were looking into his background, like who did he piss off type deal. So yeah, this was not one of those things where the cops put this priority either, even though he wasn't a homeless man. Being a minority, unfortunately at that time, and he wasn't the most richest minority. If he was, he's obviously walking home late at night from a job. They didn't put too much priority into this one, bro.
And that's sad too, man. If you're not prestige enough, you're kind of on the back burner.
Yeah, and that would really suck, and the city would take some heat from this later on. But unfortunately, I mean, what good's that going to do the person's family? So
exactly.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that sucks, dude. Like, you're walking home from work, and all of a sudden your life ends just like that, and no one, quote unquote, really cares in a sense.
Yeah, I think this was one of those things where the detectives went down there, took a report, saw that there was not really no evidence around. There was no murder weapon. There was no shoe prints. Just chalked it up as a random act of violence. Let's move on, Johnson. That type of deal.
Pretty much. And over there in Skid Row, probably back then it wasn't that many cameras, if there is any now.
No, in 1978 there was no cameras, so you have no CCTV, you have no DNA. So
that sucks.
Yep. So with that being said, the Skid Row stabber claimed his second victim just 5 days later on October 28th, 1978.
This man didn't waste no time
at all. 32-year-old Jose Cortez was found stabbed to death in an alleyway. He was a homeless resident of Skid Row. People thought that he was sleeping at first, until midday of that afternoon when someone came over and said, "Hey man, Jose's been sleeping too long." They rolled him over to see, because he was on his stomach in a fetal position. They rolled him over to see that, well, I don't know how to explain this without being a little graphic, but when they rolled him over, a bunch of blood came pouring out. It was being held in by his shirt and jacket, and it just flowed out as they moved him. He was long dead. He'd been killed hours earlier, and when the cops got there to examine the body, they removed his jacket and shirt to look at the wounds. They found a piece of cardboard under his shirt, and when they pulled it out, written in blood, it said Satan.
What the heck?
Yeah.
What the heck? So you got somebody sacrificing real humans.
We'll get to that, but when they looked at his chest, he had over 40 stab wounds above his stomach.
God dang.
Yeah.
Yo, what the heck?
Yep. He was there was multiple knives used because one of the blades broke off inside of him.
Yo, so this person just really just wanted to kill him. No specific reason.
He'll have a reason, but when you hear about it later, it's not what you think. But he does have a reason for doing what he's doing.
Yeah, this is low key sounding like Richard Ramirez.
Yeah, it's not good so far.
Mm.
So one of the news papers picked up on it. It wasn't the LA Times, but it was a press telegram. It was another newspaper that's long gone now, but it was prevalent back in the day, all the way up into the 90s, early 2000s. And they would call, they put two and two together and say these stabbings were too coincidental to be random acts of violence. They hadn't had any real stabbings down there in a while, maybe one or two a year compared to what happened with the Skid Row slasher. So they named this guy the Skid Row stabber because the slasher was already in jail at this point, obviously.
Very creative.
Yeah. So there was no eyewitnesses, no clues to this one as well. And you know what? The cops did the same thing. They didn't close the book, but they're like, well, let's move on to the next murder because we got nothing on this one.
You got to do it in your Johnson voice, man.
Oh, yeah. Hey, man, you got no weapons. You got no clues. I'm all out of ideas. What about you, Johnson? He's like, well, anything else going on? There's a car accident off of Whittier. Let's go to the car accident then. That's all they did. So these two young men, you know, again, they're not that old. I mean, 50-year-old still, I think, has some life to live, obviously. And then this guy,
absolutely.
This guy down on his luck gets murdered as well, 32 years old only.
Damn.
So when do you think his next murder is?
Well, he murdered 5 days later. I'm just going to up it up a notch and say he murdered within 1 to 3 days after.
You are correct, sir. That was October 28th. He would strike 2 days later before Halloween on October 30th.
God damn. He ain't wasting no time.
Not at all. Unfortunately, Mr. Bruce Drake, 46 years old, was found stabbed to death in another alley on South Kohler Street. His favorite piece of jewelry that he wore around his neck was gone, his friend said. He did have family. He was from Skid Row. When his family were notified, they automatically realized that he wasn't wearing his gold chain around his neck. So that was a big clue, because then that means now the killer is taking a piece of memorabilia, you know what I mean, like a trophy. So again, the police now were like, okay, this might be something, because the stab wounds were all over his chest again, over 25 over his chest, and multiple around his abdomen. Same thing. So this guy's getting stabbed, and repeatedly the guy bleeds out. There's just no chance for these people. And they're figuring it's got to be someone overpowering, because these guys aren't small dudes.
That's what I was wondering. Like, is it just one person, or is he working with someone, or?
Well, they don't know at this point. I mean, there's no eyewitnesses to any of these murders. Like, whoever's doing this is waiting to see, you know, who's around the area, and if they single somebody out on their own, they're getting it. So, as the police were investigating this one, and they actually were looking into it, because now it's starting to make the papers a little bit. 5 days later, 65-year-old J.P. Henderson was found on the sidewalk just a few blocks away from where Bruce Drake's murder scene was. So this
5 days later?
Yeah, so this was barely November 4th. This is right after Halloween.
He's got to have a purpose. I'm just trying to figure it out what.
Well, I'll ask that question when we get there, and we'll see if you can nail it.
All right.
Yeah. I'll give you a couple shots at it, since we're down a woman. So, down a man, a person, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, we miss Gabby tonight.
Yes, we do.
But 5 days later, and more downtown at this point, because, again, Skid Row at this point is closer to Staples Center now. Now with that murder scene already taking place with Bruce Drake's, that makes 4 guys, right? Now, if you remember from the Skid Row slasher, there was 2 murders. Like, he killed 2 men a year apart at the same entryway of the historic LA library, remember? Well, a 3rd victim is now there. And not from the Skid Row slasher, but this man kills a man where 2 others were found just 3 years prior. But what happens first is this, though, bro. So 3 Skid Row residents are just down the street trying to stay warm. It's, it's November. It's getting kind of cold in Los Angeles, which is like 50 degrees at night or 40.
Something like that.
Not too cold, man.
It ain't snowing.
Yeah, but over here in LA, that's like -10 for us. But,
yeah, dang right.
Yeah. So these 3 gentlemen are staying close to a fire that they made on the street. It's late at night, it's like 1, 2 in the morning. And all of a sudden, out of the corner, crossing the street, it's like one of those movies. The lights are flashing at nighttime because no one's driving. Downtown's kind of scarce, and there's really nobody there. And this dude, comes across the street. Big black guy starts walking towards these three men, and he starts just talking in a different language. Almost they couldn't understand him. And they start looking at him a little bit, and he starts looking at them, and he starts to come towards them. He looks about 6'5". He looks like a football player.
Dang.
And he has his one arm behind his back, and the other arm is pointing at the 3 men. And the 3 stood up and looked at each other and like, hey man, this, we've been approached by other guys, because some of these homeless people get beat up by gang members or just punk kids.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so they're standing up like, okay, well, there's 3 of us. If this guy attacks us, then screw him. All bets are off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they stood up and they stood their ground and they said, "What are you doing? What's going on, fool?" And then the guy yelled at the 3 men and said, "I am Lucifer, or Luther. I kill winos." And then he started to mumble incoherently. And the guys looked at each other, and one of them was drinking a beer, in a paper bag. And he's like, and then he just starts mumbling. He shrugged his shoulders and he walked on. And one of the homeless men picked up a stick and was like, "All right, man, I'm going to have to beat this guy. We're going to have to use a weapon because he's huge."
Absolutely.
But he walks off, and the 3 men stand their ground and they watch him. They don't sit down. They wait for him to get out of eyesight. And they're just like, "Man, let's make sure this guy gets away."
Mm-hmm.
So as they do that, and I brought up the library, the men go to sit down finally because he's out of, they can't see him anymore.
They're out the danger zone.
Yeah, they sit down, and immediately when they sit down, they hear screams.
Dang.
And so they're like, "Oh crap!" So then they pick up stuff and they start racing towards the screams, because where the screams were is where that man was and where he walked into. And where he walked into was the entranceway of the library in downtown Los Angeles, which is just a half a block away. There they found their friend David Jones, 39 years old, bleeding heavily from the chest. The man was gone, so right away one of them picked up or said, "Hey, I'm going to go call the police." He ran to the nearest payphone. And for all of you young folks out there, a payphone used to be one of these things that had like AT&T or City of Bell or whatever it's called, Bell Communications. You actually put money into it like a candy machine, and you could make a phone call.
Before the cell phones.
Exactly, before cell phones. I know that's going back a ways, but yeah.
Way back. You're aging yourself, sir.
I sure am.
So am I.
But these men tried to save their friend. They called 911. The police and paramedics actually made it there pretty quickly. For it being Skid Row in a bad part of town, they got there within minutes. The paramedics ripped open his chest, or not ripped open his chest, but took off his jacket, and he proceeded to lift up his shirt. And as he was struggling to talk, when the police were also asking him, "Who did this to you?" they're trying to get some sort of dying declaration because it didn't look good. The man just said, "I've been stabbed," and he lifted up his shirt enough to show his wounds, and he passed out and died right in front of everybody.
Dang! No!
Yeah, he died right in front of everybody.
Get Broadway tickets at MoulinRougeMusical.com.
Jesus. Yo, that sucks for the three friends, because it's like, dude, that could have been y'all, number one. And number two, you guys were seconds away from their friend.
Yeah, he was coming up on him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jesus, man. Well, it's good that they saw who it was, so I'm sure that when the police are there, they'll ask, like, "Hey, did you guys see anything?" Right?
Oh yeah, they did take a sketch rendition of what the man looked like. They also told them what he told them, and they gave a description of the height and weight and everything, and they were just upset that this happened again. Like another one of their friends passed away. Because down there, if you gotta stay alive, you gotta make friends. It's better to have more friends than enemies. And this guy was one of their friends, and he was just trying to sleep over there by that pretty. Because it is a beautiful library. If you've never gone down there, if you're ever in Los Angeles, check out the LA City Library. It's a lot safer now, but
way safer.
Back in the day, I wouldn't recommend it. But this murder now made 5. And the police were stretched thin at that time. And again, they would have been put in priority, but that's not a priority, taking care of the homeless, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So it just continues to get worse, because yet another victim was claimed 7 days later. Francisco Rodriguez, 57 years old, was found stabbed to death in Skid Row parking lot.
Now here's where I kind of don't agree with this. Mm-hmm. Yes, I know they're homeless. Yes, we know that they may have issues. They don't have a home. Some of them don't have families. And this, that, and the third. I get all that. At the end of the day, they're still humans. And for the cops to kind of like push it aside, you have an active serial killer. Who's to say this person won't start killing, people of residence and stuff like that, or like Richard Ramirez going to rob people's homes. Like, they should have took this serious, because this is an active serial killer.
Oh, I agree. And the same thing happened with the Skid Row slasher. Spoiler alert. I mean, they didn't really take him seriously until he left Skid Row and started murdering outside in the suburbs.
Absolutely.
So this happened here too. I mean, this is literally, you had 4 days after the last murder, Francisco Rodriguez gets murdered on the 8th of November. So,
K-Rod.
Yeah, this is a 6th one. And then you pile up 2 more, because on the 11th, he killed 2 in one night.
What?
Just blocks away from each other. 36-year-old Frank Reed. The next, and then they're calling it the 12th, but I think it was the same night that he murdered both of them. Frank Reed was killed before the 12th, somewhere around 9 p.m. And they were guesstimating that Augustine Luna, a 49-year-old, was murdered a couple hours after midnight. But some believe that it was before midnight, because they were literally found within 2 blocks of each other.
Man.
Yeah. And it was the same MO, dude.
Same MO, stab wounds.
Yep. Same. Gosh. And here's the thing to think about, Matt. Have you ever tried to like cut something like something kind of thick, where even if you're cutting meat, you're trying to carve meat, if they say, hey, carve that turkey or carve that big roast, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Try carving a well done tomahawk steak. That thing is it's gonna be hard to do.
Yeah, because that's a good comparison, because if you think about it, a person's body is kind of thick. You're going to run into the bone, and then obviously the clothes that they're wearing, the time of year that it is. You've got to stab with force, you've got to stab with purpose, and you've got to stab with hate or some other motivation, and to make those kinds of wounds that he was inflicting on these people is insane.
Like you said, you gotta stab with some major force, and if he's 6'5", like you said, 200-something pounds, he must be jamming that knife inside their body, cutting through bones, tissue, and everything, dude.
Yep,
that sucks.
Well, police this is what I think I've lost count. I think eight bodies right now.
8. Yeah, right.
Well, 8. They only had one clue. And that clue was, remember, the chain that was stolen, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Other than that, they didn't have anything until Frank Reed's body, the 36-year-old who was found before midnight on November 11th. His family and his friends said that he carried around a rare coin from the 1800s that to him was good luck. He kept it on him for good luck. That coin was missing. So they figured, okay, because most of these men that are stabbed to death, one thing that was always part of the thing that I forgot to bring up was the pant pockets were completely emptied out.
Oh, so he did rummage through his pockets and stuff.
Yeah, but most of these guys don't have nothing but maybe a cigarette or something like that, maybe just a wallet with identification, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't much that you could look at and be like, oh shoot, you know. So that's the only thing that they had now. Is two things were missing. So, but this one, the police had no clue, and now they're starting to devote some people to it. They're starting to say, hey, you know what? We're going to get some undercover, cops dressed as homeless men, which is a good idea. Finally. Yeah. Hey, man, we should try to stop this guy. I don't know, man. Is it in the budget? Jesus Christ.
I mean, just 9 people in. They were aiming for 10.
Yeah, and this is what sucks too, because again, that was on the 11th/12th of November, right?
Mm-hmm.
5 days later, on the 17th, the hunt was ramped up, but it didn't make any kind of progress because 35-year-old Native American man named Milford Fletcher, or known on the street as Jimmy White Buffalo, was stabbed to death off of Main Street in a parking lot. He was a well-known transient to the area. He'd lived there about 15 years. Everybody knew him because of the way he dressed and how nice he was. He was always, although not having many possessions himself, would always go out of his way to help those in need. This pissed off the Skid Row residents and those that lived around the area to where they started to march and voice their opinions upon City Hall just 2 days later. So, again, you're having these unfortunate incidents happening. Now,
Did that work?
Well, I'll get to that in a second, but I'm going to rewind a little bit to November 11th, because remember that was 6 days prior. And this is what pisses me off too. And this is what we've talked about a lot. That police departments never talked to one another back in the day, never shared stories, never said, hey, I got a case like this in my jurisdiction, right?
Yes.
So the LAPD, although it's the LAPD, they're under a lot of different jurisdictions. So they don't always work with each other, even though they're the LAPD. Well, back in the day anyway. It's a lot better now, but still. Yeah. There was an attack by the railroad tracks on the south end of Skid Row. Joe Ramirez, 27, and Ricardo Ceja, 24. These are two young guys. They were sleeping next to the railroad tracks, and they were stabbed a few times, but were able to get away and fight off the attackers. So he got away, and they also said it was a taller black man, and he crept up on them at night. They were able to get away, and that was not involved or mentioned to the police detectives that were actually working the case until far after the case had already been, in their minds, solved.
Why?
I don't know.
Like, come on, guys.
Yep. And then they had further evidence. So now that after the people went downtown and marched a bit for a couple days, protested, and said that they wanted police involvement, too many men are dying at the hands of a madman, and they had every right to do what they did. And
absolutely, I don't blame them.
And back then, they didn't riot; they just protested, and that's their God-given right to do that. So
we missed back in the day.
Yeah, they actually used to protest the right way. But anyway,
yes,
let's not destroy our community.
That's a different subject.
Yeah. So while this was happening, though, detectives and other police in the bus area of the bus terminal would find a note written on one of the bathrooms at the bus terminal downtown that says, "I am Luther. I kill winos and put them out of their misery." So,
What the heck, man?
yeah, so now they took pictures of that because they're like, if we ever get this guy writing, maybe we can, get his handwriting and compare it,
Mm.
So that was just 4 days before the day before Thanksgiving. And so now it's the day before Thanksgiving. The city's sort of in a lull. The protesting stopped. A young detective in his first year was leaving Parker Center, walking across the street from Parker Center and the downtown building, which is the City Hall, which used to be the tallest building in Los Angeles. And he's walking to get to his car, which is parked down the street. Now he passes a bus stop. And on the bus stop, there was a 45-year-old Frank Garcia, a Skid Row resident. He looked like he was asleep, so the detective was going to ask him, "Hey, buddy, you want a couple dollars? Are you okay?" And he goes to touch him, and he's ice cold. He checked for a
Oh,
pulse,
crap.
and he's dead. He moves the gentleman, and blood protrudes out of his chest. It just starts.
What?
The police are obviously now, and this is the thing that pisses me off too. You had detectives on it. Yes, they did ramp up the investigation. Yes, they were putting more boots on the ground. Yes, the neighborhood and surrounding people were upset. But this would piss me off because this was the wake-up call to the Los Angeles PD. Because the newspapers ran wild with this, and the news television crews went wild with this because this was the killer taunting the police right in front of their eyes. Like, this man was killed right in front of City Hall and right in front of the downtown police department. I mean, he's on the same street as these people.
Yeah. Woo. So he's really revving it up a notch.
What do you think about this, man? The balls in this guy, right?
Dude, something clearly wrong with him mentally, but now it's like, yo, you want a piece of me? Come on, what's up? Yeah. So that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's number 11.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh. And this is what I'm talking about. This is an active serial killer. Yes, I get it. They're homeless. I get all that. I wouldn't even say they're not important because that's not true. Everyone's important. There are probably bigger cases they got to deal with, but still, like, you have to do something about this because this man is clearly killing just for the fun of it and just for the sport of it. And who's to say he won't move up a notch and start killing people in their own homes, raping people? Like, there's so many scenarios that could take place, and you got to stop someone like this because he's not mentally stable.
Yeah, life's to life. I think police, even to this day, still don't respect the homeless or
they don't.
The prostitutes. A lot of young women.
Absolutely.
When they go missing, it's just like, oh, she'll come back. She probably moved to another town. She's doing her thing. And, it's unfortunate. I mean, because sometimes I could see it because the police get overwhelmed with these kind of cases. Mm-hmm. Most of the times they find the people. Most of the times the runaways are not that far, stuff like that. So they become a little apathetic. And then we call them out when stuff like this happens because this is egregious. This shouldn't happen at all.
At all.
Yeah, this is terrible. But this is this would suck. And so the mayor would go crazy and start yelling at people like, one of those movies, where the police captain or the mayor just goes off on like the detective, like Eddie Murphy in that one movie. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly Hills Cop, yeah.
Yeah. So what happens is now, after this murder, the police are all hands on deck. Any vacation you guys have, forget it. You guys are working doubles. We're going to find this guy because now it's a slap in our face. We look stupid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now all of a sudden they care. So working with people, they're trying to find this guy, and from November, right before freaking Thanksgiving, there is no murders for 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah, for 2 months.
What's changed?
Well, we'll find out.
Oof.
But that would all change on January 21st, 1979. So when the cops kind of like slow things down a little bit, 26-year-old Luis Alvarez was found stabbed to death at 415 Harlem Place in downtown Los Angeles. Luis was also not a homeless person, but he lived in Culver City but worked in the area. The LAPD, yeah, see? So the LAPD got smart, and detectives began to work the angle of a 2-month lull in the murders that had been attributed to the murder being locked up, probably. Like maybe this dude was arrested while the 2 months were up. So they put a complete task force, and this is before freaking computers, smartphones, and stuff like that. They had to go through file upon file because can you guess how many arrests in just the downtown Los Angeles were made between the months of December and January? Or late November, December, January?
I'm going to say probably maybe a few hundreds, close to maybe 1,000.
Oh, you're way off, buddy.
More?
More, a lot more.
10,000.
Wrong again, buddy. Here's what I'll give you. Between the months, or between his last murder and right before Thanksgiving and January, what did I say, 29th or 21st?
Yeah.
There was 43,000 arrests.
What?
Yeah, in the Los Angeles area.
Dang, yo, we ruthless. What the freak? That's like in the span of 2.5 months?
2.5 months, yeah.
You're telling me we average 20,000, roughly 22,000 arrests per month?
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure it's higher now.
Oh, yeah, it's probably high. But this is the 70s.
Yeah, this is 1978, 79.
I guess, man. Well, crack was hitting the scene then, so, it makes sense.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on. So they actually went through all the profiles, like in all the cases and all the files about everyone and anyone who was arrested, but they did have the advantage of knowing that it was a black male and also the size and stuff like that, so they were able to narrow it down that way, and they were trying to look into the person's past to see what he was arrested for.
Mm-hmm.
So they were doing their due diligence. Sorry.
Yes, brother.
Thank you. And they came across a 29-year-old black man by the name of Bobby Joe Maxwell.
Yo, that sounds like a football player.
Yeah. And if you see a picture of him, you'll know.
Ooh.
He was arrested because he was seen by a police officer standing over a 60-year-old intoxicated homeless man with a 10-inch knife. The police officer at gunpoint, along with his partner, told the man to don't stab the person, get off of him, because he was just in the act of about to stab the older man.
Oh, so they saved the guy.
They saved the guy. Yeah, he put down the weapon and they arrested him that night. So he was charged with assault and attempted murder. So who was Bobby Joe Maxwell? He was born in January 1950. He was the oldest of 6 children born to the Maxwell family from a young age. He was in and out of juvenile detention and also jail for robbery in Tennessee. So he grew up in the Tennessee area. He was released on parole after threatening a grocery store clerk with a knife. So that wasn't good. And that was
so he just really liked knives.
Yes. And he had been in and out of jail. And so by the time he was about 26 years old in 1976, two of his sisters had moved and got an apartment together in Los Angeles in downtown. And that's where Bobby Joe had came down and moved to Los Angeles. So that was his ticket here to Los Angeles at the age of 27. So Bobby Joe had big dreams. He wanted to be a karate instructor. A lot of karate movies were coming out. He liked the genre. He liked dressing like them. As you'll see in one of his pictures where he's arrested, he's actually wearing a Japanese influenced shirt, probably got from Koreatown or Chinatown. And so he wanted to be like a dojo master and teach, and you know, he got into it and stuff, but he could never come up with the funds, never had a stable job. So he would turn back to a life of crime. And his sisters, you know, had to bail him out a couple times. And he was only working part-time labor jobs because he had his record and everything. So he had also tried to rob these people in August of 1978 prior to all the murders. And he held them at knife point, and he was charged with, you know, assault with a deadly weapon, and there was a kidnapping charge because he was taking them off the street into an alley. He didn't get but 2 months for that.
That's a shame.
Yeah, he only got 2 months for that.
You were about to take a man's life. They got you at gunpoint. They see the 10-inch blade, and they say, okay, Johnson, book him. Or Dano, book him for just 2 months.
Well, no, this was the one before the murders.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. This is the one before the murder, right?
Yeah, he got
the 60-year-old man, right?
No, the 60-year-old man was the one after Thanksgiving. Where he was arrested, and remember there was those 2 months in between there.
Yeah.
So basically, what I'm trying to say is, prior to the murders, he was arrested for that. And got out in only 2 months, and then became homeless because his sisters didn't want him back. And then after he did all the murders, and then there was that two month cold period where there was no murders before the last assault. He was in jail for assault with a deadly weapon, same thing, without the kidnapping charge. Should have got years, and again only got 2 months.
Do you think it has to do with the fact that he was homeless?
It could have been, and it could have been overcrowding too. I'm not sure. It really doesn't say. But
regardless, that ain't nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing for threatening a man's life.
Jesus.
So that was our judicial system back then.
It's still kind of it's about the same now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, now they don't even prosecute. They're all like,
they don't even do anything.
They're all like, just don't do that again, okay? Please.
Exactly. What's 3 strikes?
Yeah, exactly. You get 33 strikes. So this was falling into place for the LAPD. They were like, oh my gosh, this has got to be our guy. You know, no one else has that kind of background. And so they put him on 24-hour surveillance. And they did come up with a fingerprint of the homeless man that was killed on the bus stop. And they're like, you know what, let's run his prints. Let's see if his prints, because he was incarcerated. We do have his fingerprints and his palm prints on file. And guess what? The palm print matched his.
Ooh.
So they got him for the 45-year-old on the bus stop bench at City Hall. So with that being said, you know, they're following him around. They don't want this guy to murder another suspect or another person, obviously. And so they're keeping close ties, and they're going to take him down if he's going to do something. So while they find out that he's good for that one murder, they're moving in. But on one of the last nights that they're surveilling him, they notice that he's going on a long walk. And he's walking from one crime scene that someone was murdered to the next. And then he would just casually start talking to some homeless people and go about his way. And then he'd walk down to another street and another alley and just hang out a bit in the area where he had murdered someone prior. So now they're like, dude, he's basically showing us without knowing it that he's the guy. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, so they send a team to his sister's house and to where he was living on the street. And they find at his sister's house, which is when they interviewed his sisters, they said, yeah, those are his books. They're satanic books.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he had satanic books in his possession. He had various writings of his own. So they were able to compare his writings to the bus stop graffiti, and it matched. So you have that. And then they found some knives at his sister's house that he had left behind. And they matched the kind that were used in the stabbings because he used multiple. And when they found his little area with his tent on the street, they found more incriminating clothes with blood stains on them. They found knives, more knives, and they found the missing coin and the chain.
Oh, crap. So they got him.
Signed, sealed, and delivered, right?
Signed, sealed, delivered. Book them, Dano.
Yeah, that's it,
Let's
Johnson.
move on.
Put the handcuffs on him, sprinkle some crack, and let's close this case, right?
Let's close this case, Johnson.
But no, there's a twist.
Stop it.
There's a huge twist. So you would think that this is all over, right? Like it's a done deal.
Done deal, bro.
They actually arrest him in a movie theater. He goes to watch a movie after he's walking around from crime scene to crime scenes late at night. He goes to watch a movie. The police come in there. He doesn't even flinch. He just puts his hands up, stands up, puts them behind his back. They put the cuffs on him. They walk him out. He doesn't say a damn word. So usually if you're innocent, you're going to be like, you got the wrong man. What the hell are you doing? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, why are you arrested? He never even asked why they arrested him.
He knew.
Right?
Yeah, he knew.
So again, I'm going to tell you, signed, sealed, and delivered, right? It's over.
Signed, sealed, delivered. I'm yours.
It's over with, right?
It's over. Book it down, though. Let's close the case. How many years he got?
Okay, well, let's start off with the twist. First twist in this one is he gets arrested in 79. This thing doesn't go to trial till 84.
God dang.
His lawyers were posturing. They were going back and forth with the city. It was a high-profile case at this point because he's got a dozen murders. And it just took forever to get started. And he was maintaining his innocence this entire time. And they were trying to get more evidence because the state felt that their evidence, to me, it seems great, but they think it's weak.
What?
Yes, they think it's
How?
weak. I'll explain. So during his incarceration, he did have a cellmate. And the cellmate, right before the court date, came forward and said, I'm an informant. I have some information. And he was a convicted felon, 37 years old, was facing life himself, and was trying to get himself some time released from his time spent there in incarceration. He wanted to get out at some point in his life, and he figured if I turn state's witness, I'll help things out. He said that Bobby Joe Maxwell told him that he wished that he wore gloves because that's how he felt he was caught, and that he would have never been caught had he worn gloves. So, so they're like, okay, that's another nail in the coffin. We should have this one. You know, we can at least pin 11 murders on him, maybe the 12th one too. We don't know if he's done that one. We have information about the attempted murders, so we got that too. So they're thinking, man, we got plenty of evidence and stuff, right? And they were trying to get the death penalty on him. And obviously the death penalty was stopped in California, but they were still trying to at least get him on death row. You know, life at worst, right?
At worst.
Yeah. So Bobby Joe, he got sentenced to life for the murders. Okay. Again, you would think this is the end of the story. Y'all come back now. You hear? We'll see you next time, right?
Wrap it up, man.
Wrap it up, Johnson. Right? They already seen the crack on him. You know, we've already knocked him out.
Oh, it's sprinkled.
Yeah, it's sprinkled, man. It's a done deal. It's over with.
It's a done deal. It's in the oven.
Yeah, it's in the oven. Chick Hearn is like, the butter's getting hard. You know, all that stuff.
Everything jiggling.
Yeah. Not so, my man. Not.
This is stupid. This is ridiculous.
And you will be pissed off. Let's just say
I'm already pissed.
And if Gabby was here, she'd be trying to cut wangs off left and right.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So what happened is you do get an appeals process, but usually it takes a long time. It's 1988 now, and the jailhouse informant is turning state's witness again. But what happens is he's turning state's witness in another case, but on the stand admits that he's lying. And that he's it says that he's a career liar and that he's just trying to save his ass because he doesn't want to spend the rest of his life in prison. So not only does it blow away that case he's testifying in, now it screws up every other case that he's testified about another, because he's pretty much a snitch, but he's a lying snitch. So Bobby Joe's lawyer says, okay, I want this appeals process to go through because now I think my client deserves another shot at
another trial.
Yeah, another trial. And this is after 88. They start filing all these petitions. It doesn't go well at first for them, but then it starts to gain momentum. And for some reason, the Innocence Project and a few other organizations start to think that Bobby Joe was a wrongfully accused black man. And they start, and again, remember, he's got the souvenirs, he's got the palm print that matches his hand, everything. The evidence is pointing to him. And those three homeless men had positively identified him in court as well. But the problem is now, the only one left at the retrial is not all there. He's got dementia. One of the other men passed away due to old age, and the other one, they can't find him. They don't know where the hell he is. So now you can't trust the state's main, what is it called? Witnesses. Because no one else, because those two men that were stabbed didn't really get a good look like they did. Because they were just trying to run away and save their lives. So now you have no witnesses. And you still got the palm print, but that could be but what they're going to say, the defense is going to say, well, he was just down in the bus stop. He lived down there. A lot of handprints and palm prints were lifted from that bus stop. That erases that. So now it's just down to the souvenirs. And then, so they're like, yeah, but these people really, the family identified it. The defense was like, how do you know that's theirs? Wasn't there multiple chains made the same way? Look, I got one here from this store. Or look at this rare coin. I got one here.
Oh, they're good.
Oh, yeah. They took away pretty much everything the prosecution had.
Ooh, they're good.
Yeah.
God damn.
They're very good.
God dang, they good. That's
a
good DA.
They're very
a public
good.
DA too doing that? Oh man.
No, this is one that wants clout. Yeah. And is thinking, okay, if I get this dude out, I'm gonna get every rich bastard out there that needs help to pay for my services. And he had the backing of the Innocence Project and all this other people were rallying behind this guy. So that'll take you up to 2017.
Get the no.
And guess
No
what?
No way. What?
Bobby Joe Maxwell was exonerated of every murder.
What?
Yes. Found innocent.
You know what? No.
Yep.
Yo, that lawyer is as good as Johnny Cochran.
Yeah.
Straight up. There's no... Bruh.
They had no other evidence to tie him down. Unfortunately, there was no DNA taken. There was no fingerprints that they could lift from those knives. They were stuck, bro. And the story doesn't end there because although all the charges he was acquitted from and he was exonerated, Bobby Joe's now lawyers and now team of lawyers, because now the lawyers smelled blood in the water and they wanted to go after the city and sue the crap out of him because he's been in jail now. Let's see, 79 to 2017. That's what? 40 years.
20, no, yeah, 79, 20, 79, 89, 99. Yeah, like 40 some years.
Yeah. But see, here's what happened. And here's where a lot of people, this isn't my words, but the victim's words. He was incarcerated for that amount of time, found acquitted. Just 2 weeks before he was officially named and was acquitted of all charges, he suffers a massive stroke where he becomes comatose.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he wasn't even able to enjoy his exoneration.
It was 38 years. I did the math.
Yeah, there you go. I knew it was close to 40. I just didn't want to be like 44 and be wrong.
Somebody be like, "You guys can't add."
But no, the dude had a massive stroke or a heart attack, and he was comatose. Like he was, paralyzed on one side of his body.
Good Lord.
He was basically on a machine.
Mm-hmm.
And although he was on a machine, his lawyers, like I said, they smelled blood in the water. They got a few other lawyers together, and they were setting up this huge class action lawsuit. And the funny thing is, I will say it's funny because the other people said it too, the victim's family. They were quite happy that he suffered that stroke, but they were even more happy to realize that if he were to die before it went to court civilly and they weren't able to, win the case, the case couldn't be finalized. Basically, it couldn't go to court. So basically, he died in 2019 due to complications of that stroke in a hospice before it was scheduled to go to court just a month later. So his family could not reap the benefits of him being exonerated.
Wow.
So if you do believe that he was guilty, then he got what he deserved. If you don't, it's effed up. You know what I mean? It's just, in the end, to me, he looks guilty. I think they had enough on him. But
you went to his tent. You see all the victim's items in his possession or in his place of living. The palm print. You saw him about to stab somebody with a 10-inch blade. What?
He was no Cub Scout. Let's just put it to you that way.
Exactly. My man, when they arrested him, didn't say anything. You got me. Nothing. Bruh, the evidence is there. What the Wow. I'm pissed off, and it happened in the 70s.
Yeah, but it just concluded, 4 or 5 years ago, right before COVID.
This is crazy.
Yep. So, what do you think? Like, do you think that he actually did it?
Come on, man.
Well, I mean, because if you look deeper into the story, people will try to poke holes in it. And like I said, the Innocent Project does do a lot of good for those that have.
He was doing a lot of poking. There's no need to poke holes. He did the poking. There was 3 people who saw him, who was mumbling, and they were about to be attacked. They stood their ground, and then seconds later, he hits the corner where they saw him, and someone dies. They see his hand behind his back. Stop it.
Yeah, and it's crazy. You have the handwriting too. The one that was at the bus station. It matched the writings that he had at his house. I mean, just too many things added up.
Oh boy.
And somehow way.
Yeah. I feel sorry for the victims. Like, I really do, because that's jacked up. Nobody deserves to be murdered like that. Nobody deserves to be murdered at all. But for no justice for them, that sucks.
Yeah, and here's the worst part. So you think you have justice, you went to jail, or the guy went to jail for it, the case is closed, obviously you'll never, I hate when they say that, oh, now the family can move on. It's just another level of suffering. Yeah, you got the justice, supposedly the guy goes to jail and everything, but that doesn't bring back your family member. Now you got to cope in a different way, and just whatever faith you believe in, or you have to take it to another level, and it's so hard to get through something like that. I feel for these families, but then for it to be ripped out, put in court again, years of appeals, and then in the end, bro, he would have won millions from the city. He would have.
That's what I'm saying. He would have.
Yeah, he would have won millions, and he was a killer. And then on top of that, all those families, those cases are technically reopened.
And that's what I'm talking.
They're unsolved.
And this is what, not to cut you off, this is what annoyed me. Yes, he served time, but he's cleared of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the record, it says basically those cases are open. Like there's no one to be charged for that. And it's like, come on now, what are we doing?
And that's so sad. I mean, you're absolutely correct. I mean, that's 12 people at least that you don't have a conclusion to their story. You know what I mean? Like it's technically left open. Maybe the family's like, well, we know the person that went to it, but if you look it up, it's like, no, it's unsolved.
Why'd they give him a pass?
Yeah, I mean, think about this too, Matt. The killings started when he came to town.
Yes.
The killings ended when he was finally arrested. There was never any killings comparable to that one, to any of those after that period. So it should be an open and shut Johnson case.
Absolutely. They say, back then we didn't get away with murder, especially being a black person. He did with this one.
Yeah, he did. But, whether you believe in karma, what goes around comes around, he wasn't able to enjoy it, and he never got any money out of it. At least those two things happened because, I mean, imagine if that dude is still alive, because he's born in 50, so today he would be about, 73?
Mm-hmm.
So if he was, he'd still be pretty spry. I mean, my dad's 80 and pretty spry for himself, so being 73 years old, he'd be able to rub it in people's faces and be a millionaire at this point.
Yeah. That sucks, man. I feel bad for the victims. This guy didn't deserve to take any of their lives. Who is he to take someone's life? And then, yeah, like I said, he did go to jail. He was in jail, but he's cleared. It's as if if he was still alive, he would have been free of all. And then on top of that, he was going to get rewarded. What? Yeah.
I mean, it's widely assumed that he was the guy. And I think a lot of, he is listed as one of the city's worst serial killers. But it's one of those ones with an asterisk because he was exonerated, But I mean, the majority of people will be like, nah, he's guilty. And it was weird too, because that was another pattern that the police couldn't pick up. He was killing residents of all races, men of all races. He wasn't just attacking whites or Latinos. I mean,
he was killing them all.
Yeah. So, I mean, this was a tough case. Like, the more and more I did investigating into it, I was like, holy crap, dude. Like, I thought for the, until I got to the end of it, I was like, oh, this dude's going to be fried just like Von Greenwood. Like, he's probably in jail with him,
Mm-hmm.
They're both Skid Row murderers. Nope.
Not today, sir.
Not today.
Wow. This one sucked. He passed away. Nothing we can do about that. It's just the simple fact that they cleared his name, and those victims technically the justice is not served because now it basically says that no one is convicted of those murders. It's open case. So they're essentially their murder is still unsolved.
Correct.
And essentially there's no justice for their murders.
Correct.
And that's what sucks.
It does suck. And one other thing I'll add to this is, with all the violence that happened between the years of 1974 with Von Greenwood and leading into 1979 with Bobby Joe, I forgot his last name,
Maxwell.
Maxwell, there you You would think this would bring awareness down to Skid Row, and it really didn't. Because if you remember, in the early 80s, just a couple years later, 81, 82 even, that's when the Richard Ramirez stuff started. And he started down there in the Skid Row area. So that area's never really learned or moved on to better and bigger things. And at times there still is murderers down there. So again, if you're in the Los Angeles area, please do not make a wrong turn towards Skid Row. It's not a fun place.
It's not. We're not trying to scare you. It's not like you're gonna drive down there and then boom, you're dead or anything like that. But it's just you just definitely got to be careful over there because it is a sight to see. And if you are someone who's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Nervous or kind of paranoid and stuff like that, or gets really scared, it might not be a safe area for you because some people can feed off of fear and they might try to take advantage of you of that.
And you will still stand out as a, what is it called? A vacationer or as a tourist.
Tourist.
So if you're daring enough to go down there, make sure you have something to give them. And even if then, you might get mobbed if they see you coming down there. It is a tough place to be. Like I said, in the daytime. And again, yeah, like Matt said, it's not like a war zone or nothing. It's just your chances of being assaulted or robbed or just seeing something scary or something you don't want to see goes way up down there. So
absolutely,
yeah. But that's a sad fact of life. And Skid Row's been around since the market crash, the Great Depression. So it's been around for
that long.
Yeah, it's almost 100 years.
Yee.
Yeah. So, but that's my story for tonight, my man.
Well, thank you, Tad Fox, for breaking down that story for us and the audience. We appreciate that, man. Not a good conclusion that we wish happened, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.